Tonight our Katha begins with that word trouble. Have you ever heard that word before? Trouble? What do you understand by that word trouble? What meaning can you put to that word trouble? Ever saw somebody and thought of trouble right away? Why are you all looking at me? I'm good trouble, not bad trouble. Actually, wherever I am, there will always be laughter, although the situation might be very, very bad. I'll still try to do something to lighten the... I'll try. I mightn't be able to succeed, but I'll try. I do that all the time. Trouble. There was trouble in Mrityulok. Where is Mrityulok? Where is Mrityulok? Anybody knows? We all seated in Mrityulok on the earth. Mrityulok. There was trouble. The devathas in the heavens, they started experiencing and feeling the pain of all the beings who lived on the earth. And experiencing the pain of all the beings who lived on the earth, the devathas decided to help. Have you ever heard of some being in trouble and you decide to help? Have you ever helped some being in trouble? Have you ever gone out of your way to be of assistance to others, and when you need help, you know what happened? What happened? Nobody. Nobody is there. The devathas started marching. And where will they go? Every footstep they made, the devathas, they're singing. Whose praises are they singing? They begin to sing the praises of Jagatapita, the father of the entire creation. Hey Jagat Pita Bhagavan, hame to gyan, tu Ishwar pyara, duniya mein ek sahara.
Hey Jagat Pita Bhagavan, hame do gyan, tu Ishwar pyara, duniya mein ek sahara.
Dunya, that word dunya, dunya means creation. Ek means one. May means I or me. In this vast creation that you have created, you still took the time to remember to create me. You created me for a purpose, for a reason. Tonight, if I were to ask you, what is your reason, what is your purpose for existence, what reply will you give? What reply will you give? What is the purpose for your existence? Why was I created? Why was I given life? Do you know every one of us, we were created, but we were created different for a purpose, for a reason? What you could do, I can't do. And what I could do, you can't do. One day, jokingly, somebody said to me, well, it's a good thing that you became a pundit because you're good at that. In a different way. But that makes sense. Because not everybody will, or everybody will be equipped mentally and physically and to do what others do. Have I given thought to the garbage truck man? Have you ever given thought to that? Anything we find in the kitchen and in the whole house, we pull it in the garbage bag. The garbage bag becomes so heavy that you can't even carry it out. But that man has to take it out from in your trash and he has to lift it to throw it onto a truck. Actually, I don't know about your garbage bag, but the one that passes close to my home, they're intelligent. One will come 5 minutes before the truck comes and pull out the bags from in the trash. And so the other one will come running like a bullet and he will begin to throw. And they're working in collaboration together. Tonight I want to tell you, we were all created differently. So we could work in collaboration with each other to make life smooth sailing and to make existence peaceful. That's why we were all created differently. And so marching, singing the praises of Bhagwan Shankar, they pray to him. दुनिया में एक सहारा। Marching, they begin to sing the praises of Lord Shiva. Have you ever been going to some place and you're going, but there are many thoughts going through your mind, and you're going, but you really don't want to go? I'll give you an example. You're going to the dentist, and you know you're going to the dentist, and probably you may have to do an extraction. And then you go and you sit, sum up your courage, sit in the dental office, and then you hear in the background, zzz. Ever heard that machine? I think that machine doesn't aggravate my teeth, it aggravates my heart. Because from the time I hear the sound of that machine, I'm thinking, I'm next. That grinding sound will be mine's next. Marching, all devathas made their way to Mount Kailash. The devathas entered, and they were disappointed because the devathas entered hoping to meet with Lord Shiva. But instead, the only being they're seeing is Devi Mata. Ever made an appointment with a particular doctor, and then you go to the appointment, correct time, and then they say, well, that doctor is not here today, but you can see somebody else. What will you do? What will you do? We'll put you on to somebody who is equivalent. The devathas felt disappointed. For they expected to see Lord Shiva, but instead they were seeing Devi Mata. They bowed to the feet of the divine Devi, and so they requested, "Oh Devi, tell us when Lord Shiva will be back." The Devi smiled hearing the question, and so the Devi felt as though she was invisible by the way they were treating her. Have you ever felt as though you are invisible? Ever felt the invisible feeling before? And so the divine Devi sitting there, looking at all devathas, seeing their reaction. The Devi, she did not reply. She remained calm and she started to smile. And the devathas continued to talk with her. But all they're speaking about is when Lord Shiva will come, when we will meet Lord Shiva. She refuses to answer and she remains quiet. Have you ever heard that word quiet before? Can we sit quiet? How long can you remain quiet for? I don't know about you. Quiet is not my best friend. Alone is not my best friend. One night, everybody is fast asleep, but I can't sleep. So I go to the kitchen and I make the cup of tea. I go upstairs. I hold my aunt by her foot and I drag her off the bed. I lift her up and I put her to sit. I open her two eyes with my finger and I say, "You sleeping?" She said, "What do you think? I said, I think you said you wanted some tea, so here it is. She said, oh really? She sits down and drinks the whole cup of tea, and I'm just sitting there watching idly. Mischief. She puts down her cup and goes back to sleep, and I'm still sitting there. The next morning I'm asking, how did the tea taste? And she said, what tea? I'm saying, how did it taste? And she said, what are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. Parvati Devi sits there, and sitting there, Parvati Devi, she feels as though she's not important. Tonight I want to tell you, you are important. Never allow anybody to make you feel that you're inferior, not important. Because you're unique, and you were designed in a special way by Bhagwan for a special purpose. And so sitting there very quietly, something happens. Listen, it tells us. Jai Narayani, Jai Jai Durge, Jai Jai Ambe Namo Namah.
Jai Narayani, Jai Jai Durge, Jai Jai Ambe Namo Namah.
Jai Narayani, Jai Jai Durge, Jai Jai Ambe Namo Namah. देवा जिसका स्मरण कह दे कर कुछ का बार शंकरा देकर होई रक्षा मोरी फिर कहे बिधर जाई जय रुद्रानी जय जय दुर्गे जय जय अम्बे नमो नमः. Standing around, the Devi not answering, the devathas started to get impatient. And becoming very impatient and fidgety. Have you ever heard that word fidgety before? Becoming fidgety and becoming impatient. At that time, Lord Shiva entered. And as Lord Shiva entered, they bowed to the feet of Lord Shiva. And they started to eulogize Lord Shiva. They started to sing the praises of Lord Shiva. And Devi, who was there, they paid no obeisance to her. Lord Shiva, who now enters, all of them, they turn in the direction of Lord Shiva and they begin to sing the praises of Lord Shiva. Ever went to a function with somebody else and the host comes and hugs that person and kisses that person and passes you like a full bus? Whoosh. How do you feel? I have a bad habit. If I'm close to you, I will hug you and kiss you all the time. And if you know anything about me, you know that. There's some people who actually run from me. Like Shobha. Run. But that's a habit that I have. But do you know the minute that I don't hug you, because maybe I'm occupied mentally, or do you know everybody gets upset? It is not that I don't love you. It is not that I don't want to hug you. It is just that I'm consumed, preoccupied, thinking of something else. But I take it for granted that you still know I love you. I take it for granted that you still know that that feeling of love will not just disappear. the Devi feels as though she has been slighted, if that is the correct word. And so turning to Lord Shiva, they all turn their backs to the Devi and they begin to sing the praises of Lord Shiva. Shambhu Mahadeva, Shiva Shambhu Mahadeva, Shambhu Mahadeva, Shiva Shambhu Mahadeva.
Shambhu Mahadeva, Shiva Shambhu Mahadeva,
O Shiva Har Shambhu Mahadeva,
O Shiva Har Shambhu Mahadeva,
Gangadhara Shiva Gangadhara,
Gangadhara Shiva Gangadhara,
Gangadhara Shiva Gangadhara,
Gangadhara Shiva Gangadhara,
Gauri Priya Shankara, Shiva Gauri Priya Shankara, O Shiva Har Gauri Priya Shankara. Sing with everybody. Shambhu Mahadeva, Shiva Shambhu Mahadeva, Shambhu Mahadeva,
Shiva Shambhu Mahadeva,
Mrityunjaya Shiva Mrityunjaya,
Mrityunjaya Shiva Mrityunjaya,
Trishudara Shiva Trishudara,
Trishudara Shiva Trishudara,
Gauri Priya Shankara, Shiva Gauri Priya Shankara, O Shiva Har Gauri Priya Shankara. Clap your hands with me. Shiva 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 Shambho, Har 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 Shambho. Sing with me. Shiva 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 Shambho, Har 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 Shambho. Shiva 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 Shambho, Har 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 Shambho. Praising Lord Shiva, eulogizing Lord Shiva. The Devi, she remains calm and collect. And the Devi, what will she do? She remains as though she's smiling unaffected by all that is taking place around her. Tonight I want to tell you that the strongest species or the strongest being that God, Bhagwan, has created is a woman. I'm saying that with no apology. The strongest being that Bhagwan has created is a woman. I've said before and I got in trouble and I will continue to say that women folk behave a little bit foolish because they want to be equal to men. When they're far more superior than men already, they want to be equal to men. So if you want to be equal to men, to me, this is my opinion, you are entitled to your opinion. It means that you are lowering your standard. To reach the standard to a being who can't even dream of doing what you do. Who can't even dream of being what you are. Why I'm saying that our women folk, they're the strongest being of our women folk, though they're in trouble and though they're in distress, do you know nobody will know? Do you know they have no clothes? Nobody will know. They have no money. Nobody will know. Not even their own children. That mother will rake and scrape and save her money, deprive herself of something to buy a little piece of jewelry for her child. She will save and keep and pretend that everything is okay to make sure that the child has a shoe and the child has clothes and the child has everything. And never one day, we as children will acknowledge or recognize the sacrifice that our mothers would have made for us. Because you know why? We take it for granted that that is the duty of our mother and that is the duty of our father. And that's the duty. Their duty is to provide. So once they're providing, we will take. Once they're giving us, we will accept. How many children will walk up to their mother and say, "Ma, let me squeeze your foot"? They say, your foot hard, hard, hard. You're walking barefoot. I just scrub it with a scrubbing brush. And we scorn our own parents. We scorn our own mother and we scorn our own father. That's how we behave. The Devi, she acts as though nothing has happened. Do you know how much wives and how much mothers and how much sisters and how much daughters, they have to act as though nothing happens? When they go to work and they hear others talking about the relationship they share with their husband and they share with their children, they wish that they could share that same relationship. And mind you, the person telling the story might be lying. The person telling the story might be making up something so that her relationship will sound rosy and yours will sound thorn-like. But the reality is you begin to wish and pray right away. I wish that my husband will treat me so. And I wish that my children will buy me these gifts and treat me this way. And you begin to wish that you are in somebody else's position. Tonight I want to tell you, say thank God you're in your position and nobody else's own. Because if you have to stand in somebody else's shoe, you're in real trouble, you know. You're in real trouble. The Devi, she pretends as though everything is okay. And the devathas begin to narrate to Lord Shiva their trouble. They begin to tell Lord Shiva all their problems. And after they spoke to Lord Shiva for a lengthy time, with their backs turned towards the Devi, Lord Shiva says, I know exactly the being was a solution to your problem. She's behind you. The Devi who they bypassed and thought was insignificant and of no use to them is the Devi who now has to find the solution to their problem. Sometimes you don't want a single thing, but all you want is to just pick up that phone and call and hear that voice. Ma. You just want to hear that voice. You might not be able to see and you might not be able to touch and you might not be able to hug. Ma. And do you know when it hurts the most? When you could still pick up the phone and call, but there isn't a person to answer on the other end. It is when that hurts the most. It is when that begins to pain the most. When no reply will come. But do you know how much children treat their alive mothers as though they're already dead? Do you know how much children treat their mother as though their mother is insignificant? And we have mother and mother too. We have some mothers who treat their children as though the children are asked to come into the world and they give preference to everything and everybody else but their children. And it goes in two folds. The devathas turn to the Devi, but now the devathas are feeling ashamed. They're feeling ashamed, so they turn to the Devi and their heads are bowed. If we do the right thing, then we don't have to bow our head in shame. The Devi, knowing that they were about to turn around, the Devi shut her eyes and the entire place plunged into darkness. When the Lakshmi, when the mother, when the wife of the home becomes upset, you know what happened? What happened? That's the day when she walked down the step, you swear the step going to break down. That's the day when she's in the kitchen, you swear that iron pot is going to go through the concrete counter or the marble counter. That's the day when the food will be bitter and salty, and because that's the emotion stirred in her. Entering into the food. The Devi closes her eyes and the place plunges into darkness. And all devathas become frightened. They become frightened and they begin to bump into each other. Initially when I saw this, I remember that night on San Fernando Hill when the electricity went. And I remembered it just went, and there was a backup support, but the backup support did not come on. And so everybody started to clap and everybody started to sing and in the dark. And then out of nowhere the light came again. And then we started to sing and clap and then somebody came to me and said, we have to take off the power for 10 minutes again. I said, huh? And they said, yeah, we have to take out the power for 10 minutes to change the breaker. And then after that, you could have power for the whole night. And I said, huh? What am I going to say now that I know there is going to be darkness? To all of these people, some of whom might be afraid of the dark. What will I say? And so the entire place plunged into darkness. Tonight, what if there is total darkness? What your reaction is going to be? Plunged into darkness, total darkness. And so as the place becomes pitch dark, what will happen? The devathas, they begin to pray. They begin to call her Ma, but not in a loud, high-pitched voice, in a low, subtle voice. In your time of trouble and in your time of need, the pitch of the voice changes, and do you know? Do you know that? Is that true? In the time when there is a need and there is a want and there is a desire, the voice changes. Everybody's own. Mine too. Oh God. And so they begin to call her Ma. And calling out to her, she remains quiet, as though she's invisible. Do you know how much mothers they're treated as though they're invisible? Do you know how much wives and daughters they're treated as though they're invisible? Do you know how a daughter feels when she could hear her mother and her father saying to somebody else's daughter, you're beautiful, and your hair is nice, and I love your dress. And you have never one day said that to your children. You have never one day said that. You have never one day said something like that to uplift your children. Tonight might be late, but you see tomorrow morning or sometime tomorrow, I want you to hug up your little daughter and tell her, you're beautiful. I love you. Hug up your son. He might be 2 times your size, you know, like me. Hug him up and say, listen, whether how big you are, whether how tall you grow, whether how fluffy you may become, you are still my son and I love you. And so, the Devi keeps her eyes closed. What will happen? Will she help or will she not help? Hearing the voices around, she recognized that they have become frightened. And this makes her happy. She begins to laugh. Ever did some kind of prank and you know that it is nothing serious, but the other person you're pranking becomes frantic? And all the seriousness in you automatically disappear because you have no choice but to laugh. Hearing the crackling sound in the voices of the devathas, she recognizes that they are frightened. She begins to laugh. And as she begins to laugh, they're hearing the laughter, but they cannot see. And so turning in the direction, they begin to spin everywhere because it is as though the sound is coming from a place and they don't know where. They don't know the direction in which the sound is coming from. Ever stood up in the kitchen Sunday morning by the stove and you're hearing the tassa? There is some wedding in the village or in the surrounding, but you can't tell which direction the tassa is coming from. Ever heard the mic playing? And you hear the funeral coming from a distance, but you don't know which direction coming from, where it's going to, you don't know who is dead, you don't know anything. But it creates an awareness. They are aware, but they can't figure out in what direction the voice is coming from. And so this makes them even more frightened. And then in a soft, soothing, calm voice she says, still think I'm of no use to you? Still think I'm of no value? Still think that I'm worthless? And so, uttering those words, they begin to beg, help us, save us, save us. And out of nowhere, something happens. Listen, it tells us. Out of nowhere, in the dead of the darkness, a little, a small, a most minute light appears. And this little light brings brilliance. If you want to put on the torchlight on your phone, now, when there is light, the light appears to be insignificant. True or not? But if you put on that little lamp, when there is total darkness, the whole place becomes bright. Have you ever experienced that? Actually, in 2020, we have spotlights and chandelier and wall lights and all different kind of light. Imagine in time gone by, to light up a room, they will use one flambeau or one pitch oil lamp. Do you all know about that? One. They will light one. And it will brighten the entire place. And our mothers and our fathers of yesteryear, they were so intelligent, they knew that if they lit the light will spread. So they will always try to put the light up where the light will be able to spread and ward away the darkness. That's a lesson for us, you know. We must lift ourselves out of the darkness and never allow ourselves to be contaminated by those who are dark in the way they think and the way they behave and the behavior that they portray. Shine like the lamp. Don't be like the dark. Be like the light. And this little lamp, this little light begins to rise. And while rising, the Devi's voice echoes, Surya, Surya, where are you? And Surya begins to speak and he says, well, I'm trying to shine. But I can't shine because I'm in darkness. And the Devi says, still think I'm of no use? Still think I have no worth? This little lamp, this little light rises up into the sky and so goes and sits in the center of Surya, the sun. And the voice speaks from the sun. I give light even to the sun. Why think of me as being inferior when I'm far more superior than you can imagine? Now there is a need. I seem to be important. But because of the actions that you have performed, your need is not a desperate need. It is just a want. What can we learn from that? What is the difference between a want and a need? Do you know if you genuinely want something and you ask, everybody will feel compassionate and they will try to help you? But do you know if you want something and you lie, saying it is a need and people help you, then in the day and the time when you are really in trouble, then everybody will shut their door and leave you outside. Do you know that? And the only person you have outsmarted is yourself. The only person you have slighted is yourself. But we take it for granted that every cry that we hear is a genuine cry. And we take it for granted that every person that we help, we will get some attitude of gratefulness in reply. But do you know it doesn't always happen? How do I treat with a person who has slighted me? How do I treat with a person whom I think has cheated me? Actually, how do I treat with a person whom I think has treated everybody close to me? How should I treat? How will you treat? We'll all treat differently. have recognized in my short existence, it is impossible to get everybody on the same page. But while some on the front page, and some on the middle page, and some on the back page, and some on top, and some on the underneath, and some everywhere, every page is important. So we will not throw away the book, because every page in that book is important. And every being whose name is in that book, they're important. How important are you tonight? I am even that flame that makes the sun shine bright, she's saying. Surya bends his head. He bends his head. And as Surya bows his head, it is as though a cloud blocks the sunshine, the rays of the sun, from bringing brilliance to the devathas. Ever outside in the hot sun, and a cloud passes and blocks the sun, and you say, I wish that cloud could stay there for a little bit. I wish that cloud could stay there for a little while to shield me. Tonight, what is shielding or blocking us from attaining God realization? What is blocking us from rising to our true potential? What is preventing us from shining like the sun, Surya, selflessly and not selfishly? Somebody called me last night. Actually, somebody spoke to me last night. And she said, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to say a prayer for a man who is in the hospital. He's sick. Very, very sick. And I said, what? She said, he has one eye. He has the use of only one hand. And yesterday they severed one of his legs. I listened. But do you know that affected me really bad? That affected me. It caused some kind of disturbance in my mind. Do you know who I'm speaking about? I'm speaking about somebody who all of us, maybe the entire world will know. Because he spent his whole life singing the bhajans and flying the flag of culture. But that's what happens when you make things a priority and bypass yourself. That's what happens. And then when you land on the hospital bed, it is you and you alone. It is you and your suffering and you and your pain alone, and nobody there with you. There are many beings just like him who would have given their whole lives to make sure that everybody else was happy. And they die a lonely, unhappy life. They die alone. Tonight I want to tell you that when these yajnas present themselves, and when the opportunity presents itself, it is an opportunity for us to be like that lamp, to shine, to ward away the darkness of negative thinking and negative speech and negative behavior, so that we can climb to the heights of spirituality. Not knowing if one day we'll be lying on the bed alone, but though we might be physically alone, we'll be reminded that there is a being who is always with us. What comfort can I give to a man who has one eye, one hand, and one leg? What comfort can you give? We tolerate and we help, and actually we profess we're going to help. But do you know, 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, and after that, you know what happened? You're on your own, you know. I am willing. But how much can I alone do? But together, as a group, as a family, The impossible could become possible once we put our thinking resources together. Tonight I want to tell you, everybody is not the same. And not every cry is a genuine cry. We live among many pretenders. We live among many people who cry themselves down, and they will always remain down because they cry themselves down. Nobody has to cry them down. Say a prayer for them. Never wish them bad. Say a prayer for them. And hope that one day they will awaken from the sleep and the slumber that they in. Tonight, the Devi says, before I can teach any being on the earth a lesson, I must teach you here in the heavens first a lesson. Never think that anybody is inferior. Know that everybody has worth and value. Tonight I want to tell you, you have worth and you are of value. And you are loved and appreciated more than you will ever know. Tonight, to those mothers who are looking on, you have worth and you have value. And I'm your son saying I love you. To those fathers who are looking on, you have worth. And I'm your son saying I love you. To those children, brothers and sisters, I'm acting as your brother, not your sister. I love you. And may the blessings of the Divine Devi be yours now and always. Jagadamba Mata Ki Jai.